All right, everyone, let's get started. If someone could give me a thumbs up who's got a screen on so I can hear that you can hear me. Is there anyone that's able to confirm that you can hear me?
We can hear you.
Perfect. Welcome, everyone. It's my pleasure to be able to host and present at the first quarterly Passive Investment Mastermind for 2021. And it's a really exciting evening. We have the most presenters we've ever had. We have 10 awesome presenters being here today, and they're covering the entire country from East Coast to West Coast. So again, keeping that in mind, please mute yourself during the presentation as you're observing the investors and learning. If there's a chance and you have a question, please put that into the chat box. And if the presenter is able to answer it in their time slot, they would love to do that. And otherwise, don't worry, I will share with you all the investors' contact information as well as a recording of the event. And so you can easily follow up with any of the folks afterwards and have questions answered that you might not have answered during this event. The rules for presentation for all the presenters, really simple. I will introduce you. You have 8 minutes to present your fantastic opportunity. At the 6-minute mark, I will give you a 2-minute warning, just quickly tell you 2-minute warning. And again, if you wrap up quickly after that, please feel free to answer any questions you might see in the chat box. And otherwise, try and keep it as tight as you can to that 8 minutes. As I'm letting more visitors into the chat box, I am also now looking forward to introducing our first presenter, Michael. Michael, are you there?
I am.
Fantastic.
How are you, Roland? Thanks
Good.
for having me on here. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to introduce you, and I look forward to seeing your slides. One moment. So Michael is the founder and president of Prosperity Real Estate Investment, which has been established since 2002, specializing in successfully investing in both commercial and residential throughout Canada. They manage a portfolio of over 175 unit properties worth in excess of $1 million throughout market centers in Canada. Let me just mute here a few people. One moment. Sorry. So Michael has been a very successful investor throughout Canada and has received multiple awards, many top awards from the Real Estate Investment Network, as well as the Canadian Real Estate Wealth magazine, been recognized continuously for the success he has. He's an avid public speaker, educator, and also has a very strong real estate investing coaching business. So if you want to learn more about that, reach out to him afterwards. When Michael is not managing his real estate portfolio, he's focusing his time with his family, and that's really the reason he got into real estate investing. So welcome, Michael, and I'm going to try and keep slides on pace to your presentation. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Roland, and everybody here. Thanks for joining us. I got a great lineup of guest speakers all over the in this forums here. So 8 minutes is really short, so I'm going to go relatively quickly. So for those of you that may have seen me before with Savvy Investor, this is actually my company called Prosperity Real Estate Investments. So I'll just talk a little bit about that in a second. But the reality is, Roland, maybe I could just switch the slide if you don't mind, please, for me. Or can I do that on my own accord? No, okay, perfect. So the reality is we're living in kind of extreme times right now. And there's just so much uncertainty, lots of negativity in the media. The news is just full of all this information. And it's actually impacting a lot of people's lives. You know, we've got kids that are not necessarily going to school. It's impacting our seniors, our parents. And we're seeing situations that in some cases we haven't seen since 2008. So very, very challenging times that we've all kind of started to uncover, specifically with coronavirus. And for a lot of people, this may have been a significant eye-opening experience for a lot of people, especially when people are like, maybe have lost an income or gotten themselves in a financial position. People have lost their jobs. People's businesses have started to go under just because of everything that's kind of going on. But this is maybe one of the reasons why you're attending today, is because you're looking at this and you're like, holy smokes, this is a huge issue. And so with that being said, we can either look at this as a significant crisis, or we can look at this as an actual opportunity, as our good friend Warren Buffett has referenced: be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when greedy when others are fearful. And so for us, this is one of the reasons why we wanted to highlight a little bit about what we do here today. So for myself, Roland's really referenced a little bit about our company and what we started. I started back in 2001, founded the company called Prosperity Real Estate Investments. And I saw real estate as a huge opportunity to generate generational wealth, create more income for myself, and more importantly, really provide a legacy for my family. I've been very, very fortunate to build this portfolio, to get involved in real estate. And we've also, like I've referenced earlier with Roland, maybe Roland can just switch the slide, been very fortunate to get a lot of accolades behind it here. And this isn't in a point of really about tooting my own horn or any of those things. I've just been very fortunate that real estate's been able to do this. And for those of you that are getting started and not necessarily know where to begin, I'm assuming that's where people like yourself are kind of joining in a session like this to learn from other people. And you've got some fantastic speakers lined up to talk a little bit about their experience and knowledge and some of the opportunities that they're looking at. So for myself, I'm just going to share a little bit about a project that we've actually completed. So this is not available, but just to kind of give you a guideline of the types of projects that we like to look at. So for us, this is a property that we closed on November 1st, 2020, and this is a 12-unit apartment building that we locked up in Edmonton. Okay, the suite mix was fantastic. It's an 8 by 2 bedroom suite apartment building with 4 single bedrooms. The purchase price was $1.8 million, came appraised at 1.15. So the equity from day one, and these are the types of projects that I like to look, is there's got to be some meat on the bone, some equity from the very beginning, was about $70,000. So the way we do this is we have investment shares or investment modules that we offer to potential investors. And that investment module is about $74,000. The profit from day one per share is about $8,000. But the cash flow on this property is about $345 per share. And that was based on current reality. And that's the one thing that we spend a lot of time focusing on is what's the current snapshot, and more importantly, what's the opportunity in the horizon. But whenever we budget or present to our potential clients or partners, it's always based on current reality. So the benefit about this particular project here is the rents were actually significantly lower than what significantly lower than what the market is. So we were seeing an extra $75 to $100 more a month that is available over and above the initial pro forma projections.
Yeah, we get that.
So hold on one second. Okay, I think I'm back on. Can you hear me? Yes, thumbs up. Good, thanks guys. Secondly, so that was a huge opportunity. One of the reasons why we really like this project is there's much more cash flow in this deal and a better way and a better opportunity to increase the valuation of the property. Secondly, because of COVID, and one of the most fortunate pieces about COVID is we were able to take advantage of some extremely low interest rates. We budgeted at 3.25%, but we actually got it locked in at 1.7%, 5-year fixed rate, amortized over 35 years. So this is a great project that generated cash flow, had equity from day one, and it was just an absolute home run. And these are the types of projects that we love paying attention to. It's not about volume and the amount of projects we focus on the right deals. And those are the ones that we want to put some attention to. So this deal is not available. That one is closed. It's done. So why am I even presenting that today? Because honestly, I never actually present deals to forums like this, an actual deal. And the reason for this is one of the important pieces when you're working with our company is to making sure that there's compatibility and that your guys have common goals to what we have. And even more importantly is whatever your objectives are in regards to your investment goals is something that we're able to achieve. So we always try to kind of focus on more of a consultation approach first to understand some of the goals and objectives. Then at that point in time, share our investment strategy to see if it's a right fit. And we always start with that first. So Roland, if I could just get you to go back one more time. If you like something that looks like this, we've been very fortunate that I unfortunately didn't have the information in front of me to present today, but we did secure a property yesterday that has a very similar image to what you're looking at today in New Brunswick that we just have under contract. So if this is something that is of an interest to you, you are maybe looking at cash flow, you're looking for some equity, maybe want to get involved in more something into a multifamily, then at that point in time, I would recommend that we set up a consultation, get an opportunity to review some of the objectives that you have focused for yourself, some of your goals, ensure that it's compatibility. I always treat our partnerships almost like a marriage because at the end of the day, we're working very closely together and that's how we put a lot of attention. So get you to flip on the next slide, please, Roland. So again, It really is about compatibility, staying focused and understanding your goals, making sure that there's the right fit. So if you feel that you want to maybe explore a little bit more to see how we can maybe work together, and then at that point in time, review some projects with you, here's my information. You can please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Use my phone number, my email. And secondly, I want to also invite you to, I know a lot of people that are on here that are part of Savvy Investor, join our Facebook group. It's a great welcoming forum. And then at the same time, there's a lot of knowledge, education that's part of our group as well. So again, here's my contact information. Reach out. Love to set up a time to meet with you. And if you got any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. So thanks, guys. Appreciate the time, Roland, and everybody for participating.
Thank you, Michael. Awesome. From the far east coast of, well, not quite the east coast, but from Quebec, we have Roger. Roger, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. You hear me?
I do. Roger is a chartered real estate broker and a legacy facilitator with years of experience in real estate investing in moving complex assets. His expertise is in identifying value in investment properties while providing sellers and investors alike a legacy to leave behind. I mean, that's a repeating message, legacy for family. With 15 years of experience in the industry, he's also a very successful shareholder of Keller Williams Urban and Keller Williams Connection. Welcome, Michael. Roger, sorry.
Thanks. It's all good, Roland. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Look, I mean, 8 minutes time. I'm gonna try and plow through as much as possible. I mean, this is, you know, for those of you that know, Montreal is obviously the second largest city in Canada. Population here, where you see about 2 million people, that's actually just on the island of Montreal itself, because Greater Montreal is way bigger than that. This is strictly the island. For those that know, Montreal is an island, has a North Shore and a South Shore. So Montreal, despite the pandemic, because the pandemic has actually led to increased prices, reduced inventory over the last year. Montreal is a market that has a lot of rental inventory. If you see the stats here on the side, usually buildings with less than 5 floors comprises 60.
He's muted.
Michael, Roger.
Yes, you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now again.
Okay, perfect. So Montreal is a low inventory market right now, but what Montreal is known for is rentals. It's very much in the culture here, and it attracts a lot of foreign students. Montreal is a city that has a lot of universities: University of Montreal, University McGill University in Concordia, and so on and so forth. And they all have, on average, about 30,000 students. A lot of them are foreigners. We also have a lot of people that come from Europe, French-speaking countries, who like to come here as a base in North America. So if you look at the statistics here, if you focus specifically on the Plex box, you'll notice that Plex is what we call Plexes is multifamily assets. And in this particular case, these are multifamily assets of 5 units or less. And you'll notice here that in the past 5 years on the island of Montreal, which is rather large, the prices of the median price has gone up by 47% for Plexes and 48% on average for the last 5 years. So, which is tremendous. During the pandemic, what you'll notice in the last 12 months is prices actually went up by 15%. There's an inventory problem. There's not enough of it. And in certain areas, there's more than others, but the market is absorbing it because there hasn't been a lot of inventory. And seeing that a lot of the student rentals have, the fact that the universities are closed and a lot of foreigners are not coming in right now, there are certain areas which are university oriented that are at the moment having a higher vacancy, because in the beginning of the year we had like 1.5% vacancy. And those areas, when that inventory becomes available, it gets absorbed very, very, very quickly. So we'll move on to the next slide. Whoops, yeah. So specifically here, this is Ville Marie. So I explained to you, we were looking at Montreal as an island. There's the Greater Montreal, there's Montreal Island, and then Ville Marie would be what we would consider to be the downtown core. In the downtown core of Montreal, Plexes have actually gone up by 66% average price over the last 5 years and 79% in value over the last 5 years in terms of the average price. So average and median price there. And you'll see here the active listings have gone up by 36%, but it still hasn't affected in any way negatively the market. The sales still went up, and we're looking at a 15% increase over the last 12 months. This is during the pandemic that we've lived. Moving on to the next slide. So I'm going to present, I know we only have 8 minutes, so I had to cram this. It was very difficult to identify which properties to send to showcase to the investors. So the first neighborhood, I figured I'd give you something that's an up and coming. Montreal, if you ask any Montrealer, the areas that have been taking on the most value in terms of gentrification and trying to find multifamily assets in order to optimize, the areas that have taken on the most value are the southwest of Montreal, which is particularly, it's bilingual, but more Anglo. And on the east side, you have a city called Hochelaga. So Hochelaga is one of the oldest cities, oldest boroughs in Montreal. Like it goes back, as you can see, Jacques Cartier arrived there in 1535. So let's move on to the next slide. So this first property here on Aylwin is an 8-unit apartment building. It's already been optimized. So I wasn't sure if the investors in this group were looking for cap rates. Well, this is a cap rate play. This is a building that's been optimized. The picture that you see there of the bathroom is actually the bathroom. This is the work that was been done. So the apartments in this particular building, which is an 8-unit, what we call 4.5, I'm sorry, this is written 4.5. In Quebec, we call a 2-bedroom 4.5, and we call a 1-bedroom a 3.5. So where you see 3.5 and 4.5, that's a 2-bedroom unit and a 1-bedroom unit, because we count the number of rooms. Bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, that's a 3.5. 2 bedrooms, bathroom, kitchen, that's a 4.5, the half being the bathroom. So this building has been completely renovated, asking 1.764. If you move on to the next slide. Yeah, so that's the actual kitchen. So this is what we have, what we call semi-furnished, which is basically just the appliances that are included, but the tenants bring their own furniture. So this building will sell at over a cap rate. What's great about this neighborhood, like a neighborhood like Hochelaga, is that the taxes are very low. So even though you have a lot of opportunities for gentrification and buildings that you can find to optimize, the taxes are very low. So your operating expenses are always very low. I mean, even if I use a 28% operating expense ratio, which is actually higher than the actual performance of this building, if you wanted to standardize your expenses, do a little bit of a CMHC play. Right now on a conventional loan, you could get a mortgage at 1.6% for this property, and you could probably get it on 30 years. And this is like a prime 5 cap plus play, and it's in a neighborhood that's up and coming. And the thing is that if you like this asset, that whole neighborhood is nothing but apartment buildings. Move on to the next one. This is Quartier Latin. So this play is a little bit different than the other plays.
You're at 6 minutes, Roger.
Oh, okay, I got to boot through this. Okay, Quartier Latin is where the tourists like to go, the universities. This property actually is in front of university, the University of Quebec and Montreal. If you move next slide. So this is where all the bars, the restaurants, a lot of the action of downtown happens to be, okay? And you'll see here, this property, 329 Ontario, is a 4-unit building and a house. It actually includes a house in the back, which is very rare in downtown. So this building was operated, as you can see, we're asking 2.59 million, but it's currently leased at 162,000 gross and 130 net to a short-term operator, which means you could do Airbnb there legally. It's licensed, and in that area, it's very hot to rent to student rentals, as well as doing something like Airbnb in the summer times when it's busier. Obviously, this year is a COVID year. This type of product would never come in the market if it wasn't for a COVID year, and it's on. I'm putting this on the market. It hasn't come out on the market yet. Move on to the next slide. So here you got a little bit of a glimpse of what the property taxes here are 23,000, which are 3 times as much as the last property, but it's also declared as an operation, short-term rental operation. Right now, there is one tenant paying 162,000, which is an operator. If you were to rent these on a long-term leases, you'd probably get about the same thing, because these are 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom units. We'll move on to the next property, which is in another area called the Gay Village. The Gay Village is great because there's a lot of disposable income there. This property is awesome because it's a big 3-unit building with outdoor space in each one of the units. So rooftop terraces, there's also three parking spots. In Montreal, parking is an asset. I mean, you can rent these for $250 to $300 each a month, and you can do short-term rentals with this building as well, because this is an asset that's fully furnished. This building is prime. I'm telling you, it's completely rebuilt in 2018. You have nothing to do. It's turnkey. You buy it. And if you want to operate it short-term, you could do it. If you want to operate it long-term, it's already, currently there are 3 rents that are long-term tenants. If you wish to get out of that and do something a little bit more short-term, then you may do that as well. So this building gives you a little bit of flexibility. I didn't know the profile of the investors that we deal with. I showed you some optimized things. Maybe next time around when I come, I can give you guys an idea of some other assets that if you wanted to optimize yourself or do, but these are great investments in terms of cap plays. Thank you very
Thank you,
much. If you guys
Roger.
wanna reach out to me, get more access to some of these informations. I have other product I could send you. Please reach out to the email that's on the screen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Roger. It was wonderful.
It's a lot. Three properties in 8 minutes is very
You
short.
nailed it. You did it. Great job. I wasn't sure. So the complete polar side of that, we have Chris, and he's got a very concise slide, but lots of information as well. Chris' story is all about inspiration. Let me move this one moment. Those who know him know he came from humble beginnings, big into gratitude. He brings poise and gratitude and patience to the transaction. With his growing business or a client's growing family, success isn't always a straight line. He keeps things calm, but never quiet. Settled, but still exciting. The truth about your home isn't always as easy to hear, but he makes sure that it's easy to understand. Whether you're moving up or moving on, he's the man with a plan to take it off your hands, helping you stay well-informed, well-connected, and well-to-do. Welcome, Chris.
Awesome. Thanks, Roland. Excited to be here. So a couple of really cool things I just want to share with you today is, first of all, well, apparently I was asked to join an interview at CTV News, and Saskatoon is, I think, the 4th fastest growing city in Canada right now, just because of its affordability. And I think that it's an attractive place for newcomers to, start their journey in Canada because of the price points here. The average price is, $330,000, including, single family and condos. And so in Saskatoon, with a traditional 20% down payment, you can find properties that have positive cash flow, just buying them at market value on the market. They're not super common, and I'm talking university rentals. Whereas if you're looking at if you're open to inner city rentals, which I have clients that are, you can get in as low at price points around, 120 up to 200,000 as an entry level price point with really good cash flowing numbers. So if you switch to the next slide, I'm going to show you a property that I sold to a client that I was potentially interested in investing in myself, actually. And I wanted to share this one because it's an absolute home run grand slam. And this is a property that is a small city that is maybe a 10-minute drive from Saskatoon. So this is the city of Warman that this property was purchased in. And on the next slide, I'll show you the numbers for it. So this property was purchased for $120,000, and it needed some work, and it was a 3-bedroom up, and the basement was kind of unfinished, but it was roughed in already for a kitchen in the basement, which was super convenient. So this particular property, with $120,000 purchase price and a $60,000 renovation, they turned it into a 3-bedroom up and a 2-bedroom down suite. So they added the suite in it. They did some lipstick on the main floor and some exterior work because it was in pretty rough shape. Now, this property had been sitting on the market. This was something that, a lot of people had actually missed as an opportunity. So we looked at it as a BRRRR deal, which everybody loves the BRRRR deals, but everyone's wondering, where are they? So we turned this into an actual BRRRR. And so what we did was we looked at traditional financing because it was a habitable home. It wasn't completely beyond repair. So we put a traditional mortgage on it. Mortgage rates at that time was around 1.79. So the financing cost over a 6-month period was relatively low for interest, around $1,700. I also included utilities, tax, and insurance during that reno. So total cost invested $184,000 over that 6-month period while they were renovating it vacant. And then after it was complete, the appraisal value for this property will be easily 230,000. This is a conservative estimate. So what's great about this deal is that I look at it as totally conservative estimates. If you really wanted to squeeze this property, there's still more there. So the comparables for this are easily showing 250 to 260, but to ensure they can pull all of their money out, an easy estimate of 230,000 makes this really attractive. Then when they have this as a rental property, once it's complete, we're looking at total gross rent of $1,350 for the upstairs, $950 for the basement suite, and then the mortgage payment based on $184,000 on the mortgage, which is all of their investment that's completely financed. So they have zero money in this deal after it's complete. And what we're looking at is a 15-year mortgage. So we're also not stretching this mortgage way out. Like, this is a huge slam dunk. And then including taxes, insurance, and what's beautiful is I've also accounted for vacancy and repairs and maintenance, which unfortunately often gets missed. So with zero money into this deal, we're still looking at a positive cash flow of $259, not to mention the fact that both of those rents are actually conservative rents. You probably could squeeze another few $100s on rent out of this deal. So as you can see with this property, these are not super rare. In some of the commuter towns to Saskatoon, these are deals that are reasonably, I don't want to say easy to find, but these guys didn't even complete this deal, and I found another property very similar to this in a commuter town to Saskatoon as well. So one thing when I was asking for the numbers from my clients on this property is they did mention that they're looking for partners as well as they scale up their portfolio. So I'm happy to partner, happy to talk to anybody that's open to Saskatoon, whether it's multifamily or single family. Happy to have those conversations. And I wanted to keep it really sort of simple for today as far as cash flow real estate. There's a lot of properties I could have chose to look at, but this one was an absolute grand slam, and just wanted to sort of throw that out there and let you know that these properties are attainable and you can actually find them in our market. And it's not like a middle of nowhere market. It's actually like population in Saskatoon is 230,000 people, and we've got a university here. So it's a great place to find a cash flow property. And if, like I said, you're open to inner city, the numbers are really good over there as well. It's just obviously the headaches that go with the inner city. So that's what I have for you today. Thanks for having me on board, and look forward to hearing from the rest of you. Unless you have questions, feel free to follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Happy to connect, happy to chat.
Thank you, Chris. One question that jumped in there, you have a few minutes. There's a viewer that was wondering, are there management companies that can manage this type of property turnkey for a non-local investor?
Yes. So as far as turnkey goes, that's why I sort of mentioned cash flow properties. If you wanted to just buy something turnkey, like you didn't want, like these particular purchasers are contractors. So they're okay taking a rehab property and turning it into a completely zero money in the deal investment. But if you just wanted something turnkey, there are opportunities like that in Saskatoon. And I know Roland and I had talked about that a couple times. And there are property management companies that will cover this type of stuff. In fact, I've got connections for somebody that I could confidently refer you to as well. So
wonderful.
Yeah, no
so
problem.
People should follow up. Thank you, Chris. That's wonderful. Thanks again.
Thank you. You bet.
Our next presenter is Calvin, and he is from Edmonton, Alberta. Calvin brings fresh energy to the real estate space, providing a modern day experience with old school principles that stand true to today. With over a decade of personal real estate experience, resulting in over 100 happy clients, he specializes in investment real estate in this investment real estate space in Edmonton and the surrounding area. With expertise and focus on cash flow properties, fix and flips, and creative real estate. Welcome, Calvin.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to do something very similar to what Mike did, and my video didn't work. Oh, that's so embarrassing, Roland. I had like this really cool video that was like a whole presentation, and it totally fell flat. Anyways,
I like the color. Good.
You know what? You just froze it. All good. So I'm going to do something very, very similar to what Michael did, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a teaser. And I'm glad that Chris brought up the BRRRR strategy, because my teaser is of the BRRRR strategy. So why don't we jump right into it? So I actually think one of my clients is watching right now. So he's probably high-fiving the screen that I use this as an example. This is a property that closed last week in Edmonton. It is a bank foreclosure. And so I work with a ton of clients from Vancouver, Toronto, in markets that are a lot hotter than Edmonton. You look at our market, it's very similar to like the Saskatoon market, where our cash flow numbers are very, very achievable, you know, with $350,000 purchases, $300,000 purchases, even condos, which nobody wants to get into because insurance just sucks. But we're going to use this as an example. So he bought this property for $462,000. So duplex, both sides. And the intention is to add basement. Is that a question from somebody?
You're on mute.
Okay. I thought I was just getting like a roaring applause for like how good my first 30 seconds was. So this one with the BRRRR strategy, obviously when you're investing from a distance, and I think 99% of us that are on this meetup right now are probably outside of Edmonton. The guests I invited are probably here. So you're probably asking yourself, you know, do I want to do a BRRRR strategy? Is that something that's safe to do out of province? It is, as long as you have the right team. So that's something that I can definitely help you with to make sure that you guys feel confident with certain projects. So I'll give you guys a basic rundown. And before we purchase any type of BRRRR property, it's always important to get an understanding of what the ARV is going to be. And not just the ARV that I'm going to tell you, but it's the ARV of what appraisers are going to tell you. So I've reached out to a couple different top appraisers in the city, and they estimated the value of this property after adding 2 legal suites around $700 to $725. And he was saying conservative. We had 3 different quotes for renovations. The average cost for renovation is about $70,000 because the basements are already completed. Now, all we have to do is add the kitchens, pretty much. So we'll go back. So the nice thing about this one is I wanted to touch on a couple different points. A, the purchase price, how achievable it is. B, the ability to do a BRRRR. And for you guys that can do the math, the only thing I missed on here was the holding costs, because we want to calculate the holding costs during that period of time in which you're doing renovations. The nice thing about this property is you can rent the main floor as you're doing the renovations for the basement. And so if you guys want to do the math, you guys can see how much equity is unlocked just by adding about $70,000 of your own capital. So you're seeing a really good equity drawn out of the property, which you can use for your future projects. A property like this for cash flow, because I know everybody in here loves cash flow, you're looking at about $1,400, which is pretty solid. If you were to buy this property turnkey, it's exactly the $700 to $725. And the cool thing, which I think you could probably do anywhere, is rent out the garage. So you got a nice big triple detached garage there. We have the ability to rent out each one. The going rate's about $150 per bay. So that garage alone, you're looking at $450. And you know, maybe we turn it into 3 separate living quarters. If we were in Vancouver, I would, because all you need is like 300 square feet to call it a house. But let's move on to the next slide. So that's just a basic taste. I have this really cool video that I recorded just for all of you. And Roland, based off the performance so far, I'm guessing it's not going to work. So I'll have to like reenact it. This is my this is what I'm going to present to you guys. So this is an off-market turnkey fourplex. This thing is a mammoth. This thing right now is it has 4 separate titles. So every single unit has a separate title. The builders loved balconies. Can you guys tell? They really like balconies. So there's a balcony for every single level. This property right now, each townhouse is rented out for $1,300. They're asking $1 million for the full unit. And we'll go on to the next slide. Built in 2007. So what do you guys get for a new build? Well, you get a maintenance deferral. So you're always going to pay a little bit more if you're looking for that maintenance deferral. So you're still going to see decent cash flow, but it's always a balance. You know, if you want the maximum cash flow, you're probably not buying close to brand new. These ones are all turnkey units. There's essentially 3 stories to them. They're seeing 1,300 plus utilities right now, 1,400 square feet per townhouse, which is pretty good size. The gentleman that is renting it out right now, he's just renting it out for the sake of renting it. His goal back in 2000 was just to sell it. him and his partner had a dispute. They ended up renting it out. His partner's now out. Now they're able to sell it free and clear. The going rate for rent is about $14.50 for these units. I think if you go on rentfaster.ca, I'm not sure if you guys use it as a reference. It typically is low, but it's an example of what you can use for what you can get for rents anywhere in Edmonton. Each one's 2 bed, 3 baths, video tour. So this right here, guys, this video should be this picture should be a video. I actually did a walkthrough and I was so excited to show you guys because it's like super nice inside. You know what? I'll just send you guys out videos if anybody requests it afterwards. I'll probably throw the plug in like Chris did. You can reach out to me via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever you'd like. This is the pro forma for that property. So let's go ahead and take a look. You'll have to take your put your glasses on because the writing's pretty small. And it's actually missing the cash flow because the bottom of the screen got cut off, but or the total profit, sorry. So I always add in things like the vacancy, repairs, all that stuff as well. Management fees, 10%. If you were to look at total profit, you're hitting just above $1,000 a month. If you guys remember what I said in regards to rents, we're about $150 light on each side. So you have the ability to unlock about another $600 in potential rent. So what should this profit be, net profit be? If you're not tapping into your reserve, you're looking at about $1,600 a month on $1 million investment. And you have the ability to be able to sell off each unit down the road. So I'm going to keep mine short and sweet. Hopefully you guys like that. I'm so sad that the videos didn't work, but I'm sure I'll get over it in about 10 minutes. So thank you guys for having me. If you have any questions, let me know. And it was a pleasure to present to all of you. So thank you for your time.
Calvin, are this fourplex, is it with the separate titles? Is it like right now a new buyer could buy the entire fourplex and then sell it off, or are there steps that are missing?
No, that's exactly right. Yeah. So essentially the goal would be, and that's what I wanted to present to you guys, is essentially one full package. And then you have the ability to sell each one off as you go. So it just makes it a little bit easier, makes your exit strategy, gives you more options.
And in this market that we're in right now, in your world, the seller's not choosing to sell it separately because it's still better as a package, but in the future it might change.
It's convenience for him. So if you were to sell it off per unit, he could sell it for more. He could get more than an average of $250 per unit. He just wants to take the money. They're taking their money into commercial retail businesses. A lot of them are on sale right now, as you guys probably realized in your communities. So he's looking at completely pivoting his approach in the investment world, taking it out of residential real estate and going into like restaurants and that kind of stuff. So
cool. Thank you, Calvin.
Thank you.
I told my assistant to get rid of your videos because it was already such a sharp presentation.
All right.
But our next presenter is Mr. Justin Crawford. Justin is a realtor at the Keller Williams brokerage in Vancouver, but he's migrated himself over to the island. He's a couple of months ago became a new resident of Comox in the Cumberland area. Justin started off investing in his investing career by Airbnb-ing his 1-bedroom apartment in New Westminster. Through that, he realized the value in maximizing real estate to create income streams. 2 years ago, Justin and his wife sold their local condos and ended up purchasing a duplex in Courtenay. With that home proving itself to be a great investment value, they recently purchased another home in the area that they are working into turning it into 2 separate suites. Justin and his wife are very much feeling like they have found their niche in duplexes on Vancouver Island, and they're planning to continue the expansion of their portfolio that way. Welcome, Justin.
Hi, Roland. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, as Roland mentioned, I am a real estate agent and investor on Vancouver Island in the Courtenay Comox area, but I cover from Campbell River to Nanaimo. I really like to focus on single families and converting, and single families with basement suites that are easily converted to secondary suites in the range of between. It's been going up, but between 500 and 650 is like I've found to be the best niche for cash flow. So right now on Vancouver Island, we're having it is definitely a tight market. There's not enough inventory. So what I've got 2 examples here of clients that I've sold recently into places. But we are moving more and more into like mailers we call them Comox boxes. This would be a Comox box here with 3 up and 2 down. They have the best opportunity for cash flow, in my opinion here. And so this one was purchased in August, but it was purchased for $530. Immediate upgrades, it was horrible paint, and the back deck was falling off. So those were 2 things that had to be done immediately. It was rented right away, but in the future, I think soundproofing between floors, and there could be a continued update. And I think that adds to the value of the home would be quickly. So yeah, 3 bedrooms up and 2 bedrooms down. Next slide, please. So the purchase price $530, buying cost about $10,000, renovation $15,000. So now they are currently rented out at $1,900 up and $1,500 down, including utilities. You got the tax and utilities and stuff like that. But yeah, you can see clearly it does cash flow right away. Even this isn't their exact scenario. Their mortgage was a bit different, but even with 20% down, which is the requirement for an investment property, they're still cash flowing positively on this property on the island. Next slide, please. This is another one. This one's in Campbell River. And Campbell River is actually turning out to be a really great market as well. It's like a 1 to 2% vacancy rate. And again, and actually I should mention with that last property that we just had, or my client had some showings there. And for those prices they had for the basement suite, they had over 20 groups come through at $1,500 for the basement suite. So there definitely is a high demand for rentals. So this one, they haven't rented out yet, but they're actually planning on moving into the main floor. It needs some work. And so they're kind of going to do a BRRRR while they live there, kind of house hack combination. So the rental appraisers, when they said they get $1,800 for the basement because it is a 3-bedroom basement. I'm not sure, maybe they'll not get that high, but they will still get $1,500, no problem. So next slide, please, Roland. And yeah, you can flip to the next slide too, please. So if they move, they are currently going to move in, and as they move in, they will be paying rent of about $941 a month. But what they're going to do with their plan, once they've moved back out, they are going to be positively renting for $959. And that's with 20% down. Yeah, so it's both ones are home runs, and they've worked out really well for everyone there. And like I said, the market is quite tight, but I think that things are starting to come on the market, and through our mailer campaigns, we're going to find more and more sellers and opportunities for buyers. So mine is quite quick as well, but that's it for me.
Thank you, Justin.
No problem. My pleasure.
Our next presenter is Mr. Dan Wertel. He is a fantastic Vancouver realtor and creator of the Vancouver Real Estate Group. He's been a member of REIN for more than 9 years, and he's an accredited real estate investor. Licensed realtor, again, focused on investing clients as well as regular residential sales. He's created a strong following in his Vancouver Real Estate Investors Facebook page with a growing audience of more than 3,400 people. Welcome, Dan.
Hey, thanks so much, Roland, and thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great bunch of presentations. I've seen a few I wouldn't mind picking up for myself here, so thanks, guys. Yeah, let's get into this one. So the area I'm talking about today is Nanaimo on Vancouver Island. Like it was just touched on, super tight inventory right now. Last I checked, I think there was less than 1 month of detached inventory in Nanaimo, incredibly hot. Currently, Nanaimo's sitting around 117,000 population. And for the last couple of years, it's been growing faster than the capital there in the city of Victoria. The average detached home price is sitting around $657,000. It went up 15% in 2020. And get this, detached home prices have doubled since 2013. That's like 12.5% annualized for the last 8 years. Big double-digit appreciation happening in this area right now. When we're looking at growth, 2019 saw an all-time record of $445 million in building permits that were granted. Rent-wise, rents went up an average of 8% just last year, with a median rent there of, or sorry, an average rent of $1,039. Studio units, your little bachelor suites there, they saw the biggest demand and the biggest increase at 11% during 2019. That graph in the lower right corner there, that's your rents. So bachelors are on the bottom there, and you can kind of see the increase that it's going, which is important to know because the property we're looking at, next slide, please, is a sixplex. This property here at 522 Hecate Street in Nanaimo, it's about a 12-minute walk from downtown. So, you know, really close to the jobs, really close to transportation. So again, talking about those studio units, the makeup of this building is 3 bachelor units and 3 one-bedroom units. Now, this is an old building, originally built in 1891, but looking at it, you can tell it's had a bunch of updates, including a new roof, windows, and envelope siding recently. The whole property is just under 2,500 square feet and sits on a 6,300 square foot lot. You can pick this up today for about $740,000. Next slide, please. So to purchase this, and we are looking at this as kind of a long-term buy and hold program, being 6 doors here, we're going to have to look at commercial lending. So 25% down, it can be purchased with, which comes out to about $185,000. Our favorite property transfer tax comes in at about $13,000. Lawyers, inspection, you're going to have to get a commercial appraisal on that, around $5,000. And of course, let's remember our reserve fund at 10. So your total investment to pick up this property is about $217,000. Next slide, please. On the income side, those 3 studio units, those are getting $800 a piece each. There are 2 similar sized 1-bedroom units that are averaging $950 each. And then there's one bed, currently owner occupied, but it's a bit larger. So that would fetch about $1,000 on the market today. That brings the total rental income for this property at $5,300 per month. Next slide. Let's talk about the expenses, of course. These are broken down monthly. So you got hydro at 106, gas 204. The city utilities, that's kind of your garbage, water, that type of thing, $111. Current insurance comes out to $307 a month. Property tax, $254. Again, older building, right? So I've baked in here a 5% repairs and maintenance cost. That averages about $265 per month. Now, vacancy, it's less than 2% in the neighborhood, but let's be conservative. So I put in 3%, so $159 a month. Management. I'm guessing most of us do not live in Nanaimo, so the going rate for management in that area is 10%. Fairly big number, but again, if you want this to kind of operate as a turnkey property, we can. So let's put in the $530 management monthly fee, bringing our total monthly expenses $1,936. Next slide. Okay, so like I touched on earlier, 6 doors here, so we do have to look at commercial lender. We're going to get that 75% loan to value. And talking with my Bank of Montreal commercial lender there, he thinks he can get this at a 2.5%, which is phenomenal. And of course, a 25-year AM. So monthly mortgage is going to sit around just under $2,500 per month, excuse me. Next slide. Okay, so does it cash flow? Yes, it does. Rental income, if you remember, was $5,300. Monthly expenses, $1,936. Financing, $2,486. As is today, as just a simple buy and hold, you're going to cash flow around $878 per month. Next slide, please. So the return on investment. Right now, the property is operating at a cash-on-cash return of 4.86%. The mortgage pay down is about 7.5%. And sure, if it does appreciate, I've estimated a 3% appreciation for this property. Keeping in mind, we've seen double-digit appreciation for the last 8 years, but let's just do 3%, a little bit more conservative, but maybe even realistic. That's going to give you a 10% return annually as well. So if sold after 10 years, your sale price would be about $994,000. That's a gross profit of $530,000 or an annualized ROI of about 22.5%. Now, if you don't mind staying on that side for a sec, think I've got another minute here. So I will say there is some value add potential for this property as well. These units currently do not have laundry, but there is a little workshop in the back there. You can kind of see it on the screen in the lower sort of middle. So you could technically install a washer dryer and then charge the tenants like a coin laundry kind of style, and maybe get a couple $100 a month extra. And while it has obviously been updated, there is still room for improvement. I think you could do a bit of a improvement on renovation, maybe some better appliances, and then increase your rents a little bit further. So that's the property for you guys today. I hope you found it interesting. Thanks again, Roland. If anybody wants to learn more about myself or my team, next slide, please. Our website is thevancouverlife.com. Thanks again.
Thank you, Dan. That was wonderful. There's a couple of minutes there. If anyone has a question, let me see here in the chat box. Otherwise, Dan's easy to find. And Dan, if you can in the chat, please share your Facebook page. There's been a few people that have requested it.
Of course, we'll do. And please just do know, we also have a podcast that we interview lots of people. And actually, Roland, I'd love to get you on there. So let's do that as well.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
From Dan to Daniel, we got a trend. So Daniel, let me get some room here, was fortunate enough to start his real estate career immediately after university, starting out with residential, but always having his passion in investment real estate. Daniel was fortunate enough to learn from local developers while helping them acquire, sell multifamily land assembly development sites throughout the Cambie corridor craze. Gaining the analytical insight from their medium to large scale operations, he had the pleasure to be involved with investing companies in repositioning rental apartment buildings and mixed use buildings. Daniel now spends significant amounts of time in the industrial real estate space, assisting small business to end their tenant life and starting their own industrial workspace, acquiring industrial development sites for developers and creating Strata Warehouse. Welcome, Daniel, and I will find someone that I need to mute. Come on board.
Thank you very much. Always glad to be a part of this whole event. It's been amazing last year. It's our 5th event. Thank you, Roland. So today I want to talk about a current client that I'm working on right now. And I've been seeing a trend of this happening more and more recently. So it's a client between 25, 30 years old. Their parents are giving them some money to start their investment life. So these people are busy with working, starting a family. So they gave me a couple of criteria that I think that a lot of people in the real estate industry here, a lot of realtors is going to resonate with. So they tell me that they want to find something under $1 million. They don't want to manage the property, and they don't want to do any repairs. They don't want to pay for the utilities of these tenants, and they want to increase their rent, but they don't want to follow the very minimal residential rental increase that we've been controlled with. So these are the criteria that they gave me. So I went out and looked for different types of investments for them, and then I realized that we can look into strata units, a lot of industrials. With these strata industrial units, this kind of fits what they're looking for. The tenants will pay for their own improvements and pay for most of the maintenance, except for roofing or exterior big stuff like that, the foundations and structural stuff, which the strata will take care of. These are also triple net commercial leases. So the landlord is not paying for a lot of the repairs, a lot of the ongoing holding costs like the strata fee. And then these are also mid to long-term tenants. So it's very clear, carefree for the landlord. So when the client tells me that they want to keep it under $1 million, and I tell them that it's hard to find something like that, we in fact did find something for them like that. Here's an example of a property that is already sold in Richmond. So it's not very far away from where most people here who are from Vancouver are living. It's around 10-15 minute drive away. So this is the case study I want to talk to you guys about today. This is a unit that has sold already. But I want to give you guys an example of this to let you guys know what's possible. That's not in multifamily, but in industrial. So this unit sold for $955. And the situation with this one is that it is currently being rented under market value. So right now, at the time of the sale, they were only collecting $2,800 per month and is on a gross lease. So for people who's not familiar with this, gross lease means that they're paying one lump sum of rent. And then the landlord will then use that rent to cover their mortgages, their holding costs, such as the maintenance fee, the utilities, and all that stuff. So it's not the best scenario for the current tenant. So they're also, when we do the calculation, they're paying around $13.30 per square feet in total. The market rent for the area is actually a base rent of $16. So there's a significant increase there. And if you rent this unit out today, you'll be able to get around $4,400, while the additional rent is paid by the tenant. So we'll look for opportunities like this to see if there's a way that we can, have the original commercial tenant leave, ask for a vacant possession, and then we find a new tenant that is able to pay market rent, and we have them pay the holding cost. We go to the next slide, please. So my presentation today is a bit more on the analytical side. It's more calculation based. So my client for this one, they had around $500,000 down. So they don't need to have a huge loan to value ratio. So we did this calculation for them where they are borrowing based on the income that we're going to be getting at market rent. So based on what the banks have told me, they're able to borrow around 10 to 12 times the net operating income. So when we did that calculation, we realized they can get around a $485,000 mortgage on this property. And after all the closing costs on the left-hand side, the conveyancing, the property transfer tax, and a GST, they'll be able to acquire this property with 50% financing and around 50% down payment. I also broke down the mortgage payments here on the screen. So they're getting around a 2.5% interest rate, which is great for a commercial property right now. And these are what their mortgage payment is going to be like. So between the accepted offer and a completion date, what we typically like to do or try to negotiate is for us to, number one, have access to the property. Because throughout that period of time, we're going to be trying to look for a new tenant to replace this old current one who's paying under market rent. So we'll want to get access to the properties, and we'll also want to be authorized to market the property for lease. So let's go to the next slide, please. So we broke down all the numbers here for everybody. So the total monthly cost on the left-hand side on the top. So typically when you own a strata building, a strata unit, you're going to be paying for a mortgage. You're going to be having the strata fee. You're going to be paying for property tax, which is divided up by 12 months. And you're also going to be paying for landlord insurance. The tenant will have their own insurance, but we also have a landlord insurance. So the monthly total cost, holding cost for this is around $3,200. And then you see on the first, the second, third, and fourth expense, we get to recapture that in the additional rent. So we actually transfer that cost into additional rent, and the tenants are paying for it. So if you see the top right-hand area, you're gonna see the monthly base rent of $3,300 or so, and then the $1,000 is also going to come from a tenant. So they're actually paying for all these costs. In total, you're going to be collecting around $4,400 a month, and then you're going to be netting the base rent. After paying a mortgage every month, you're netting around $1,200. So when we're able to negotiate a deal where we can get rid of the old tenant prior to completion date, I can only see this happening with commercial deals now, whether it might be a retail tenant or an industrial tenant or an office tenant that we're able to do this. With a residential property, it's a bit more difficult right now because of all the tenancy acts, all those issues coming together with COVID and everything. So it's much easier for industrial properties to do this. So if we convert it over to, if we multiply everything by 12, which I have on the bottom area of the Excel sheet, in total, before financing, we're going to be getting a $40,000 income from this property that's net to you guys, net to the investors. If you were to get around a 50% mortgage on this property, you're going to be netting around $14,000 a year. So that's quite a nice income for a carefree, renovation-free investment. The tenants will take care of all the renovation. The tenants will take care of all the improvements, all the upkeeping of it, and paying all the bills on it. The only issue with this is that sometimes when you have a tenant like this in a commercial building, you're going to be having to provide them with a rent-free period, or what they call a fixturing period. So during that time, the tenant will only pay for the additional rent. So your holding cost is still taken care of. They just won't be able to pay the basic rent for you to cover your financing. One other thing that you guys can consult all your accountants is that the interest that you pay for on these mortgage payments monthly, you're able to write that off as well. So you're really just paying for the basic principal pay down of your mortgage. So let's go to the next slide. So why are we looking into industrial real estate? It wasn't this hot a couple years ago. So throughout the pandemic, in the last year or so, we've seen the growth in commercial industrial real estate sector month by month. We've seen positive increases on it. We still see the drop in vacancy rates. So we're finding that a lot of storefronts, a lot of small business owners, they are converting they're changing up their office's needs. So a lot of them are shrinking their office space, they're shrinking their retail space, and they're looking into an industrial property where they can have a smaller office space, small showroom, and all their warehousing will be for their storage area. So we've been seeing a lot of businesses going in that direction. And because of that, we have both owner users and we have investors competing for the same inventory. And there's not a lot of industrial inventory that we have around the Lower Mainland. So we've seen an appreciation in the price and a kind of like a contraction of the cap rate. So right now we're seeing great growth in industrial real estate. And I think that all the investors on this forum here should look into this sector as well. So the strength of this type of investment is that
Daniel,
you're able to get into a industrial asset type with a small amount of money compared to a lot of other asset types. The low vacancy rate and high demand is just going to help the lease rate go up. And also because it's triple net, so it's a carefree lease for a majority of the landlords. The biggest weakness that we're finding in these type of investments is to locate and to vet and screen these tenants. We're looking for somebody who has a established business who's looking for a change in location. So we got to spend more time looking for a tenant like that. It's not as easy as residential, where you have like a lineup of people trying to lease your space, your bedrooms. The other weakness is that we have to provide a fixturing period for them to renovate their units. So if it's their need, typically a 1 to 3 month period is what we're seeing in common right now. It's possible for where the opportunity comes in is that we're looking for under market rents, just like what we're doing in residential, and we're trying to get it financed using the current rent. And then after we re-tenant it, we see a lot of our clients, they get it refinanced and to increase the mortgage amount and pull out equity from there. And then right now we're seeing the threats that we're seeing is that what if we have a commercial tenant that doesn't pay rent because their business is going down or things are slowing down. So in a commercial lease, we can set up our own rules where we can have them vacate the property after a shorter period of time. And also we can have provisions in there where we can change the locks. So it's a lot more strict compared to residential. So that's my presentation. And then if any questions, reach out to me. I'll love to talk to any of you guys. And then we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Very nice property. I think you have a few questions for yourself in the chat. So check that out. And thank you again, Daniel.
Thank you.
Next, I have the pleasure of presenting some ideas I have. So myself, I'm an investor and realtor in the Vancouver area. 14 years ago, I didn't qualify for a mortgage, and 13 years later, I have, with my wife, interest or ownership in more than 10 properties, more than 25 doors, from Winnipeg west through Vancouver and the area. So I'm pretty familiar in a number of different strategies. I'm very I love buy and hold, but I've done joint ventures, foreclosures, pre-sale, the BRRRR strategy, and 100% financing as well. I've done all those personally, as well as helped many clients with some of those strategies. My big passion is to help as many people as I can buy 1, 2, maybe 3 investment properties in their life. To take people from being sitting on the sideline and dreaming about real estate, looking for opportunities that may not exist, and really figuring out what does exist and what are the strengths that the client has, what are the opportunities available, and making someone from a dreamer of real estate investing into an active participant. And so what I wanted to do today was kind of remind people that even though Vancouver is really, really expensive, and certainly BC is really, really expensive, there are opportunities for investment properties throughout the Greater Vancouver corridor and BC for under 200,000. So I'm just going to swing through a number of different examples of that. And again, a reminder, why would you want to purchase a property in BC? We have a vast amount of people immigrating to Vancouver each year if we're not in COVID. And more so as well, we've had a very consistent track record of rental rates increasing and market appreciation increasing. So there's many parts of BC where you can get a healthy return on your investment, as well as really healthy, consistent appreciation that perhaps other parts of Canada aren't that established in providing. So this example here is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo in Fort St. John for $200,000. It has a long-term tenant in place. The rent is $1,100 a month. It's an 8-year-old building, so young, new, in a small complex. Low maintenance fee of $125 a month. It's large at just short of 1,000 square feet. Being so new, it's had no issues, no real maintenance. The tenant has not missed any payment in many years, and there's a property manager already in place, so makes for a turnkey investment. We have another 2-bedroom, 2-bath example condo that's available in Fort St. John, listed at $199. Has a long-term tenant in place, again, $1,100. 6-year-old building in a small 16-unit complex. Again, low maintenance fees at under $200. Equally large at 940 square feet. Because of its age, it doesn't have any maintenance that needs to be invested into. It does have a local property manager in place. It looks nice, and the tenant has not missed any rent payment for several years since they've been there. You can find a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo in Prince Rupert for $120,000. It has a long-term tenant in place. The rent is lower at $750 a month, but that tenant has been there for 10 years, and during that time has never missed a rent payment. It's an older complex, 48 units, so medium size. The benefit of that is it diversifies your risk. If there is a cost, a maintenance item or an investment into updating a system, you have 47 other neighbors that are helping you pay for it. The maintenance fee is higher at $432, but the reason for that is they're collecting a lot of funds because they recognize that the building is older and they need to update a lot of the systems. The benefit of this building right now is that the roof and boiler are new. Those have already been done. And again, this is a large square footage unit at 1,000 plus square feet, and it has an on-site manager in place, so it's super turnkey. You could find yourself a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo in Agassiz for less than $189. The tenant is in place at $1,250 a month. It's a 45-year-old building, has medium maintenance fee of $299 a month, good square footage, and open level parking. And what I like about that is, as you can see there, the parking is 1 level below the building, and there's no foundation that's going into the ground. It just means that there should be no parking membrane issues down the road that require a heavy investment from the ownership. And so that's reducing your risk level when you're buying an older building. You could find yourself a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo in Abbotsford for less than $200,000. There is a motivated tenant or seller here now that it is vacant. It was rented for $1,000 a month, and all indications are showing you could get a little bit more than that. It's an older building at 40 years old, low maintenance fees at $254. A lot of maintenance and repairs have already been done to this complex. It's centrally located and it sits on a vast amount of land. And so there's a real chance down the road that this area will get further redevelopment. And if you hold it long enough, you should be able to benefit from a strata sale to a potential developer down the road. You could buy yourself a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo in Chilliwack for less than $158,900. Again, motivated seller, I'm told here. The rent is $880 plus the tenant is paying utilities. Building is 41 years old. Maintenance fee is fair at $280. Lots of maintenance and repairs have already been done to the building. It is centrally located and again sits on a large landmass. Before I jump to Melanie, there was 3 other properties that came up where information just came back to me before I could put it on the slide. But you could also find a 2-bedroom in Prince George for $120,000, where the rent is $1,000 a month. There's a 2-bedroom in Terrace listed for $120,000, and the rent is $900 a month. And in Prince Rupert, we found a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom townhouse for $120,000. And the rent is $1,300. So there are opportunities all around us. It's been really awesome listening to folks with that are presenting today with opportunities across Canada. But even in BC, you might be able to find an investment that fits your pocketbook. So thank you for the opportunity. And now I would welcome and want to invite Melanie Robinson. Melanie Robinson is an avid real estate investor committed to making a difference in people's lives through investing in real estate. She brings over 20 years of experience in training, coaching, consulting, both in the corporate world and the world of personal development. Melanie has a diverse background in real estate investing, having experience in flipping, the BRRRR strategy, new builds, foreclosure, the long-term buy and holds, and she's currently focusing her attention on the East Coast on joint ventures and sourcing capital for new projects. Melanie is very entrenched in the real estate investment community, doing a weekly live program on fearless real estate investors called Mind Power Monday with Melanie. She does accountability calls with fellow investors and offers mindset coaching to help investors reach their real estate goals while enjoying the journey. Melanie received a top player award from the Real Estate Investment Network for her accomplishments in real estate investing. And Melanie is so thrilled to have found a way to contribute her passion for real estate investing with her passion of helping others create lives that they want, create true win-wins for everyone involved. Welcome, Melanie.
Wow, that was a lot. Thank you for inviting me to present this evening, and hi everyone. There's some of you I've met, some of you I haven't. So tonight I'm going to share with you all about my new focus. I mean, I will always sort of dabble in everything, and I love the BC market, but right now I do have a very special focus in buying long-term buy and holds with joint venture partners in New Brunswick. So you can, I forgot I was going to go hit my keyboard. So just a little bit about myself, and I've included Jason here. Jason isn't so much active with me, but he's always there behind the scenes. His background is in construction, so he's super valuable in some of the things we're doing, like we're building a 4-plex here in Nanaimo, hopefully starting to break ground soon, and all sorts of different things. So between us, we've done several different strategies, as you mentioned, from BRRRRs to foreclosures, flips, all sorts of different things. And I really wanted to focus on the long-term buy and holds. I learned about the joint venture structure, which was new to me. I mean, I guess I was actually doing it without knowing that it was formally a strategy. Once I kind of learned more about it, I got really excited about being able to offer that not only to build my future, but because making a difference in people's lives is so important to me. The joint venture structure is just perfect in being able to create win-wins and offer these opportunities to other investors while I'm doing what I love to do. So I wouldn't, oh sure, yeah, we'll go there. That's good. So my team in New Brunswick, one of the challenges for me, and I know a lot of people do invest from afar, which is absolutely fantastic and nothing against them, being that I am a working partner, which I'll explain a little bit about joint ventures, I'm assuming most people know, but I will take a minute to explain in a minute. But because I'm the working partner, I didn't feel myself in integrity using other people's money to invest in a province that's all the way over on the other side of the country that I can't go touch, feel, see the property if there's anything that's going on. So for me, what I did is I teamed up with another couple in New Brunswick who are boots on the ground, born and raised there. They are, obviously have a lot of connections, grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, everybody. They're just super entrenched in the community and really super familiar with the neighborhoods. For me, concerns were, I might even know that a neighborhood's good, but I don't know where that boundary is between, what street divides sort of the good from the bad and all of that stuff. What areas are improving, what areas are, worsening over the years. So I built a team there. We've partnered on the working partner side of things to be able to offer these opportunities to investors. Go. So why am I focusing on New Brunswick right now? I'm focusing on New Brunswick because the joint venture strategy was so important to me. I wanted to build my portfolio of long-term buy and hold. I wanted to scale it at a decent pace. I wasn't able to, I know you just showed, Roland, a number of great opportunities here in BC. When I was looking, just didn't feel like I could scale at the pace that I want to with joint venture partnerships here in BC, knowing, especially in my community of real estate investors, everybody's looking for cash flow, and I wasn't able to find those opportunities in the way that I wanted to. So found the market that I wanted to, then I wasn't comfortable investing from afar without having boots on the ground, found my team, and so now here I am. In New Brunswick, the market's really hot there right now. One of the things we're looking at is sort of off-market deals, working on, their connections because they're so entrenched and have so many people there. It is one of the last affordable markets in Canada. When I started to learn about the prices there, literally my jaw dropped. For me to be able to offer to investors, especially here in BC, I find that people in Ontario and BC are really excited about these opportunities because the cash that is required to get into a property and the amount that somebody needs to qualify for in a mortgage is just so much lower than what we're used to here in BC. And then the cash flow is really great. Return on investment is really great. So that's kind of the numbers side of why I chose New Brunswick and why I'm super excited about it. Low vacancy rate, when you price them competitively, units are literally gone. My partner likes to say it's a zero vacancy rate. That's not true, but probably about 1.5 where we're investing. Super landlord friendly. Oh, if you can go, thank you. Super landlord friendly there. So similar to Alberta, different than Ontario and BC. And really good rents and a diversified economy. So that was something that was important to me as well. Okay. So the two different opportunities that I have for investors, for passive investors, are private lending opportunities and joint venture partnerships. So in the private lending opportunities, basically we want to be able to be competitive and buy houses quickly and have great sort of, I'm losing the word right now, but anyways, put in a great strong offer. and so when we have the ability to buy houses for cash, then we can come in a lot stronger. Also, we raise capital to do renovations. So basically it's to buy properties for cash or to do renovations. That's what we would be borrowing private funds for in New Brunswick. And we're paying between 8 and 12%. We typically pay a balloon payment at the end, and we can utilize RSPs, TFSAs, HELOC cash, all sorts of different things. I'll be honest, I'm learning how to do RSPs. I have lent mine, but I've never borrowed them. So I'm going to be learning how to do that as we scale. And then typically the time frame is probably about 6 months, but 6 to 12 months for a private lend. Go. So the next thing, so one passive investing is private lending. The other is joint venture opportunities. So again, you probably know this, but I'll just share it in case any of you are sort of newer investors. A very standard joint venture structure is working partner and financial partner being a 50-50 structure. So the working partner, or sorry, the financial partner has 50% ownership and the working partner has 50% as well. We, being that I'm teaming up with Ryan and Ashley, we're dividing the working partner side 25-25. So that doesn't impact the money partner's 50%. But basically the money or financial partner provides the cash required to close the deal and qualifies for the mortgage. And then we do everything else that goes along with that. So once everything's set up, the idea is that a financial partner gets to go and do what they love to do, you know, whatever that might be, and we deal with everything else. At the very end, when we decide to sell, then the financial partner gets all of their initial investment back, and then whatever profit there is from mortgage paydown and any potential appreciation is divided 50-50. So that's what a joint venture structure is. So you cannot read this. I understand that. I have 2 minutes. Holy crow, I thought I was going to be way short. Okay, so I believe I have partners for this, not 100%. So if something like this interests you, let me know. Basically what I want to highlight here, and I knew you couldn't read it, is this is a triplex. We purchased it. We have it under contract for $140,000. The initial investment with a $25,000 repair is $61,000. We're planning on doing a BRRRR with this. So in 8 months to a year, we will refinance and our financial partner will end up with about $30,000 in the deal. And this property cash flows $650 a month. And in 2 years, we anticipate, because we've chosen an area that is improving and they're doing new builds and stuff in it. So we've picked the area very purposefully. We anticipate the cash flow to be about $900-ish a month in a couple of years. So that's a BRRRR opportunity, and we're planning on getting at least 10 properties this year. So even if this one is gone, this is a really good sample of what it is that we'll be doing in the joint venture structure if you're looking for that kind of partnership. And this is the other thing. So this week I have been working diligently to find my partner for that joint venture and to raise capital to purchase a second property. It's a duplex, purchasing it for $56,000. With a $54,000 renovation budget. So I was raising $110,000. It'll be worth, our realtor says 160, I'm saying 150. So that's a really nice lift in a very short period of time. So we'll borrow the private money, and then we're actually going to flip that to a joint venture partner once the renovation is complete. So I think that's it. That's it. So those are the types. So basically, I have raised the capital for that raise. I think I have a partner for the joint venture. It's not 100% signed, sealed, and delivered, but those are the types of opportunities that I'm working on. So cash flowing properties, low money in, often BRRRRs, and then always raising capital.
Thank you, Melanie. You owe me a bottle of wine. I gave you 4 extra minutes.
Did you really?
I did. You
Oh
rocked
gosh,
it.
but
Thank you.
I felt like I went so fast.
Thank you, Melanie. That was awesome.
Sorry.
No, thank you.
Great.
Welcome. Our next, and it might be our final presenter, I believe, if I look at the lineup, is Graham from Kitimat. Graham started his real estate investing at an early age, successfully completing multiple renovation and flip properties and rental investments. Graham started his professional career in real estate sales 6 years ago with RE/MAX. Graham has reached and achieved the achievement of being ranked in the top 100 for RE/MAX of Western Canada, RE/MAX Hall of Fame member, and was a top producing single agent in Kitimat in 2020. Currently sitting as the president of the Gymnastic Club and the director of the Kitimat Chamber of Commerce Board, Graham gives back to the community and enjoys helping make the town a better place for everyone. Welcome, Graham. Are you here?
I am here. Thanks for that, Roland. So what I'm going to kind of be presenting is more of my local community. It's probably a town that most people have not heard of. Roland presented a couple properties, Terrace and Prince Rupert. He kindly left out Kitimat, which happens to be partners to those towns. We're about 60 kilometers south of Terrace and just down the coast from Prince Rupert. It's a town that has been on the news a lot. So what we are is the site of the LNG Canada project, which is the largest private sector investment in Canadian history, which is $40 billion. Kitimat actually holds that title twice. For a town of about 8,500 people, it started back in the mid-50s. Alcan at that time, Aluminum Company of Canada, started Kitimat, and that in the 1950s was in itself the largest private sector investment in Canadian history. So we have two title belts. What we are seeing is quite an impact to the market due to this project. So Kitimat in itself, like I said, about 8,500 people currently live here. There are no outlying areas. The closest town 60 kilometers away. We're a very unique kind of anomaly town-wise. LNG Canada, during the peak of its construction, is expecting around 7,500 workers to come to the town. There are camp facilities, but they're right in the town. They're right in the community, which is a very kind of interesting dynamic for industrial projects. You know, Alberta has a lot of these, Northern Alberta, Fort Mac, Cold Lake, but their camp facilities are generally way out of town. So they have supply industries that work with those companies, but generally the workforce stays out of town. Kitimat, you can see the camps right from town. So essentially those are part of our population. Currently there's about 2,000 workers on site. COVID has had obviously some impact on those numbers, but they are looking to ramp up. Between 2022 and 2024 is what their top construction timelines are going to look like. Those timelines should coincide with a fairly large impact to our real estate market sales price wise. Currently, we have seen a fairly large impact to the rental market just due to the few thousand people that have showed up so far. We've only seen, like I said, about a 25% workforce so far. Roland can attest to some of the rental rates that Kitimat does get. We get massive returns. So the average rent value back in 2017, which was pre-LNG Canada final investment decision, was about $879 per month. Post LNG Canada FID 2019, so 2020 numbers haven't come out from CMHC yet, but they're at $1,263. So you can almost see it's almost a 50% increase over 2 years. The 2017 average sale price at $232. 2020, we have those averages at $336. So we can see the impact that the project has had already with no actual impact to the community that's very substantial, you know, with workforce coming in. So those numbers are expected to increase as that project kind of moves forward over the next couple of years. So can we go to the next slide there, Roland, please? Thank you. So this is a building that I currently have listed. It is a 10-unit building, 2-bed, 1-bath, all the units. It was built in 1957, which is indicative of a lot of buildings in Kitimat because Kitimat didn't exist pre-Alcan building the town, and they all started in the mid-50s. This building is fully tenanted. Currently, right now, it gets about $105,000 in rent and laundry revenue. The current expenses are $29,000. So right now you have a NOI of roughly $76,000, which is a 7.6% cap rate. Current market value of these units is $1,500 a month per 2-bedroom unit. You know, if you took that out of all 10 units minus expenses, you have an NOI of almost $151,000, which gives you a potential cap of 15%. Listed at $1 million. These buildings do not come up singularly like this very often. They're generally owned in groups. At $100,000 a door, that's a good sale price. We are seeing these in renovated forms sell up to about $150,000 a door. You know, so there is a little bit of room there to, you know, add some renovations and increase the value. This one does have a new boiler just last year and a roof, I think it was about 15 years ago on the roof. But these rent fairly consistently because they are right now on the very low end of our rental scale. We're seeing roughly 1% of the purchase price per month is kind of what you're going to get back in a rental amount, which turns out to like 12% per year, you know, pre-costs and stuff. but we do have a fairly strong rental market. Roland, can we go to the next slide there, please? So this one, these are very unique opportunities. What these are corporate leases. So these come with a 5-year lease with 2 one-year options to extend that lease at $4,900 a month. They're just under 2,500 square feet. They're built, they started in 2016, and there's a couple tranches that were built, like 3-4 houses at a time, continuously up until now. Property management's in place at 8%. All costs are charged back to the owner. Lawn mowing, snow clearing, which we do get a lot of. All utilities, everything. So you start at 4,900, you work your way back. You cash flow roughly about $1,500 a month on these after mortgage payments. They're $629 plus GST. So they are a pretty decent return. This is just one. So there's a lot of these. These are all built because of LNG Canada. There's a lot of these purpose-built rentals that the developer is offloading. Starting at $629, we do have some up to like $730, $740 that all come with long-term corporate leases. We're seeing a lot of demand on this on the market for newer, nicer houses. Because Kitimat's infrastructure, actually 80% of it is over 40 years old. So when you get something that's a little bit newer, we haven't seen a lot of development in the last 10, 15 years. So when you get a house like this, these are what corporate tenants kind of generally go towards. And it's Kitimat's a very unique little town that you kind of have to come and see to really be able to understand and appreciate what we've got here. Roland did come up here and visit me a couple months ago, so he got to see what we got going on, and I'm sure he appreciated our little community. But yeah, there's lots of opportunity here. Like I said, more just looking to expose what Kitimat has, what people kind of can expect from returns here. And definitely if you're looking for generally low cost, high return properties, the north is where it's at, as Roland mentioned, Terrace, Rupert, and Kitimat. So lots of opportunity here.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you, everyone. That was 10 people, and we made it in pretty tight time. So thank you all the presenters for being here tonight and pouring into us. And I hope all the guests got something out of it. So if not tomorrow, within a day or two, we'll email out the recording as well as everyone's contact information for the presenters so that you guys can reach out to the folks that you have more questions with. So thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.